Good evening. So I've been running like two main things through my head all day because I just can't get them out, and they're both very significant things. And as I said earlier on, like Sunday, I said that there were going to be some very significant things to keep an eye out for, and I do think that we're starting to see that. Um, so let me explain. Just first off, what's this deal with Biden and addressing the nation on a makeshift set that they couldn't even go through the detail of having the right season behind him on the set. Um, I don't get this. And, I have to ask, was he truly across the street? And I believe it's called the Eisenhower building or something. Was he is that where he truly was? Or was he at another? And I'm not trying to play conspiracy theory or anything like that. But these are all questions that I have to ask. Um, and the reason why I kind of am suspect of this being in the Eisenhower building, if I've got that name correct, is because why didn't they change the season? I mean, is it because they don't have it with them? I mean, that just kind of something that ran across my mind. Again, not trying to dive down too many rabbit holes here. But the other thing, which is even more concerning, just up front, out in the open, more concerning, is this, what is this, a $1 trillion coin that they're talking about? There's two things that bother me with that. Number one, the idea that they think that they can just mint a coin and then all of a sudden, boom, we've got another $1 trillion in our economy. It doesn't work that way. That's number one thing that bothers me. And number two things that bothers me, there's some countries, I'm sure probably Venezuela's one of them. There's another one that's been in the news a lot lately, and I can't remember the name of it. I apologize. But when you go buy things, like you have to take, literally, you have to fill the bed of a truck to go grocery shopping, fill the bed of the truck with money to go grocery shopping. And that's the other thing that concerns me about this, because if they do, mint a $1 trillion coin, now does that open up the doors for them to start minting these insane size denominations like 10,000 and 100,000 and $1 million bills? You see what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I'm not an economist. I can't even pretend to be one. But all I do is recognize things that happen in other countries, and it seems like we're right on track for a lot of those things. And you know, I I don't see that we've got an easy way out of this. I don't. The other thing, and I didn't mention this, I mean, there are multiple things. It wasn't just two things, but this whole thing with this income, annual income, $600, that is mind blowing to me. That is absolutely mind blowing to me. How can they even remotely pretend like that is supposed to be going after the wealthy? Man, I'll tell you what, it may very well be a cold, dark winter. But part of that might be because there's enough people that resist what they're trying to do. And so the cold, dark part of it might be punishment. I don't know. Again, I keep preaching this over and over and over, and there's a reason behind it. The answer's still the same for us. right? We can sit here and we can talk about this stuff, and that's fine. We can throw our opinions out about it. That's all fine. Please be putting things in action. Please be getting ready. That's the only thing that matters, is that you're taking steps and moving forward to being ready. That's all that matters. And then from there, yeah, we can jump down as many rabbit holes. We can debate. We can do whatever. And I want to make that very, very clear. Because, just about anybody on YouTube that creates content is going to throw opinion in, And I want to make sure that folks that come here don't get too wrapped up in that part of it. Because, yeah, it's important we discuss that, but what's more important is how we can respond to it. So that's why the prepping part of it is very, very important. Oh man, notifications like crazy. The news been all over the place, a ton of it today. I know I sound like a broken record, but nothing is getting better. Not even remotely. I can't think of a single area that's even leveling off, really. This is getting crazy. Now, I just thought about this, and I've been wanting to say something about this now for quite some time, and I just keep forgetting, and I apologize. I had a personal conversation, and I'm not going to out who it was, but Jen was standing there with me, so she can vouch for the conversation. I had a personal conversation with somebody, and her husband works in the electrical lineman kind of field. I think he's like pretty high up in what they do, as in like management, supervision, whatever. I don't know them very well, but I do know that that's what he does. It was told to me that there was like some 80,000 linemen that were, and I hope I got this right, that were talking about possibly striking for like a day and just not doing anything for like a day. And from my understanding, this is different linemen from across the country, including those in areas right now that are still out of power due to that hurricane that came up. Because there are folks that are still out of power from that. And in fact, that's where her husband is currently right now. And I can say a little bit more to that too. There is reference made to, and I'm assuming it's going to be a FEMA barge. I can't say that for sure. What I can tell you is they have a large number of these men on a barge, and they have there are so many in each what would you call it, like compartment or whatever of this barge, that when they sleep, they have to sleep with their masks on. I kid you not. They have to sleep with their masks on. Now, the reason for this like day strike is because of the mandates. Over the mandates. So, this directly involves our grid, folks. Okay, now they're just, from my understanding, just talking about a day thing, and that's it. I don't know a lot of super deep details in it. It was kind of a short conversation about it, but I'm very confident in that source. Again, I know it's beating a dead horse. Get ready. You have to sit there and think about what it's going to look like for you and yours if you have no type of grid coming in, no type of natural gas, no type of electricity, no ability to get propane replenished, anything, right? No fuel of any kind. You have to imagine what that looks like for you, and do your very best to be prepared to deal with it. Like I've said, we're the big thing for us right now is heat. We need to hit heat, and then we need to hit storage, like battery storage, and a little more solar power. Those are the big areas that if I really need to try to put some time into, give some love, so to speak, because we're going to be hurting if I don't. And I think, well, I've already talked about what I think our best option is on the heat. But I would say that's what I would try to prepare for. I would try to prepare for the loss of all of those type of utilities. So I hope I am wrong. But if I'm right, the folks that aren't prepared are going to be in for a rough time. That's why I did I made sure in that tent video to include that sleeping bag I got, because I do think that's a good buy for like $45 roughly. That's a good buy, and pair that up with a wool blanket or a woobie, and I think you'd be pretty well okay, as long as you're dressed well, and and that's the most important thing. Make sure that you've got enough of what you need to be able to survive, even with no type of external heat source. I mean, plain and simple, because you just can't, you can plan to have this, that, and the other thing, but you better prepare for not having any of it. That's the wisest thing to do. Trying to think if there's anything else that really struck me. I figured I would take my time with headlines tonight and go through them kind of slowly, because there was a lot that did transpire throughout the day. A lot of different areas. Like I said, nothing is really getting any better in any ways. I'm just trying to keep an eye on what's next, I kind of foresee a little more escalation happening between nations. I see that probably coming up pretty quick. Not saying a major escalation, but I'm thinking a notable one. I don't know. I do feel like we're just right on the cusp. I really do. We'll see. The crazy thing is, this is the mind-blowing thing. Joe Biden, hadn't even been in office for a year yet. Let that sink in. I mean, I don't know if it hits you like it hits me, but I'm sitting here on October 6th, 2021, going, damn, has it been 3.5 years yet? Because it feels like 3.5 years. Can we back up a little bit and have an election in November? This is crazy. What is going on is absolutely surreal. I'm trying to put accurate words on it, and it's really not easy. Surreal's a good word for it. We're in for a ride. That much I do know. And I don't think it's going to be much longer before it becomes just how apparent how big of a ride it's going to be. And I do think that there's still a fair amount of people out there that are kind of oblivious to what's about to transpire. I think there's an entire group of people that are oblivious to it. They've been promised things, and I think they think that they're getting their promised land, but they're not. And you know that as well as I know that. Man, we are not in a good situation. They got us exactly where they want us. And there's not a lot of room for us to move, nor is there very many directions for us to move without them having some counter. And going to be some interesting times. You know the drill. You back an animal into a corner at some point. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right. Let me go ahead and get on to some headlines. Like I said, I'm sure I'll have plenty to say. Oops. Wait a minute. How about we try that one? Hey, that one works. So I use an app on my phone now in conjunction with OBS, just because it makes it kind of easier and I don't have to mess around with moving the mouse around. I can just push buttons on the phone. But that requires me to push the right buttons on the phone, and that can prove to be challenging sometimes. Let's see. Well, for me, not for the average person. All right, I did have one from last night. I wanted to make sure to share. Male summons French envoy after, or Mali, male? Let me try that again. Mali summons French envoy after Macron says Malian government isn't even a government in a row over troops withdrawal. I'll tell you what, there's a whole lot of people that's got an issue with the French right now. A whole lot of people. Let's see. Canada's Trudeau confuses internet with newest acronym for sexual minorities, and I'm not even going to try to read them. I'm not. No, I refuse. This is ridiculous. I mean, it has gone way out of control. Period. Period. Question mark. Equal sign. I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's that ridiculous. Zuckerberg rejects latest accusation that Facebook promotes hate and puts profit over safety in wordy rebuttal. No, he wouldn't put profit over anything. I mean, he's got a strong sense of morals, that man. Launch of Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline could bring European gas prices down to historic lows, says Saxo Bank, which makes me question, is that why they are experiencing historic highs right now? Because the chicken lollipops want to try to profit as much as they can before they actually have a competitive market. World Bank raises Russia's GDP growth to 4.3% this year. A cosmonaut hails Russia's bid to shoot first feature film in orbit as first step in new era for promotion of space exploration. I don't know how I feel about this quite this yet, you know. I mean, I don't have any problem with private enterprise or anything like that. But, you know, we're still not 100% on this space technology. And I would just, I just foresee disasters. I mean, hey, to each his own. Hey, you sign the dotted line, you sign the waiver that says if you, If you get blown into a million pieces, it's on you, I guess. I mean, and it's all on you. But I just think that, honestly, we need to be focused. Instead of worrying about shooting movies in space, we need to be worried about fixing our crap. That's what we need to be worrying about. Plain and simple. Not entertainment, not sports, not... We need to be worrying about what really makes this country tick. That's why I've always kind of despised sports and, much of entertainment, because to me, culture was allowed to get obsessed with it. And then when that happened, everybody just quit paying attention to what was the most important. And it's that attitude, that mentality that's run rampant for decades and now led us to here. 5 European countries call for probe into soaring gas prices as they continue to smash historic highs. South Korea to start COVID-19 vaccination of pregnant women as part of push to inoculate 80% of adults by the end of October. Zuckerberg wants Congress to crush any possible competition to Facebook, Snowden says. Hyperinflation could send oil prices above $180. America and 44 other countries demand urgent answers from Moscow over attempted assassination of jailed opposition figure Navalny. A gas price in Europe soars above $1,900 per 1,000 cubic meters. Millions of Britons wake up to £1,040 a year poorer as temporary universal credit uplift removed while UK economy begs for workers. So, I'm assuming that's kind of almost like the unemployment extension thing, except this was a universal credit. So I'm assuming this was for everyone, not just those on collecting unemployment. That's, I'm assuming. Things are going to get crazy everywhere, and that's why I make sure not just to focus on the U.S. And, from the beginning, since I started doing this, I wanted to make sure that I covered the world's news, not just the United States. And honestly, it paid off, because in doing that, I have been watching, a lot of different stuff over the years unfold across the different nations, and it's just interesting how things have seemed to have kind of started off here a little bit more. Okay, look at Africa. I believe South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Look at what they went through with racism just here recently. And when I say the word racism, that goes both ways. And so, look at all of that went on. Look at what happened to all those African farmers. So, I remember that. I didn't forget about that. And then lo and behold, we aren't having that happen in the United States, but what about next year? Right? It's crazy watching this stuff unfold in these other nations and then turning around and watching it unfold here. So I would expect that our government's just getting started. I think they're just getting started. We'll see. I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but Slovenian police deploy water cannon and tear gas against hundreds marching in protest of COVID restrictions before major EU summit. U.S. is the only country in the world still hanging on to its chemical weapons, Russia says after Washington unveils Novichok questions. They've got a point. U.S. senators want to boot out 300 Russian diplomats over embassy row, but Moscow says it doesn't even have that many in Washington. Yeah, well, they can't. You know, you have to forgive our government. They can't count. They can't count anything. They can't count votes. They can't count. They can't count our thoughts, our opinions, our wants, our needs, our desires, and most importantly, we can't count on them. So, you know, hey. Germany's coalition, Greens favor in-depth negotiations with SPD and FDP, but don't reject Merkel's bloc just yet. And I'm assuming that if you're from over there, you'll understand all that good stuff, because I certainly do not. Abstinence and condoms. Sounds like a boring but confusing time, I guess. AI chatbot in Singapore dropped after giving strange advice about testing positive for COVID-19. Sheesh. A Dutch court says government has right to demand Corona Pass despite widespread protests. And I expect that you're going to see the same type of things here. And already have, actually, in some cases, so not necessarily, well, yeah, actually that, with New York, I guess, right? Police warn parents about razor blades hidden behind swastika stickers on a bus stop, outside Kent School. Absolutely crazy. These always frustrate me. Pope reacts to bombshell report of Catholic Church sexual abuse of thousands of children in France. And I guess he said, my shame, our shame. Okay. Well, thanks for acknowledging it there, Pappy. But, you mind telling us what's going to be done about it? I mean, actual tangible things that are going to be done about the widespread epidemic of abuse from your organization. In most every nation that I know of on the planet. My shame, our shame, does not cover it. It infuriates me. It absolutely infuriates me. And what pisses me off the most about it is they get away with it. Kiev is unreliable partner for transporting gas to the west. Top Russian lawmaker argues amid row over decision to circumvent Ukraine. UK's Johnson says Britain embarking on new economic direction as nation hit by rising fuel prices and labor shortages. Socialist Twitch streamer accused of hypocrisy after alleged leak showing he made over $200,000 in 1 month. Let's see. Pandora. What? Oh, wow. Maybe it's your browser doing funny things again. Let's see. Pandora Papers hurt Ukraine's chances of joining NATO and EU by painting country as sleazy offshore haven, ex-foreign minister warns. Germany expands pensions to 6,500 Holocaust survivors who endured siege of Leningrad and others who lived in hiding. Let's see. Putin's energy weapon. Let's see. Question mark. With much of Europe facing a worsening squeeze on gas supplies, the West is already looking to blame Russia. Well, yeah. I mean, it's ludicrous what is going on. I don't understand how anybody could believe a word of any of it. Anybody that's listening, paying attention in any way remotely. I mean, it is the most ridiculous stuff that is going on. And things that we're involved in that we have no business in. We have no business in whether or not Russia supplies gas to other people in their region. That's none of our damn business. It's ridiculous. How the hell we haven't had the hell bombed out of us is beyond me. It is beyond me. And I don't think that we can go on much longer with the attitude of being the world police without it happening. I think the days of the U.S. being world dominant police are done. And I don't know where that's going to lead. I really don't. But we made the, not you and I, okay, but those in control, the military-industrial complex and yada yada, have made one hell of a bed. And as it usually goes, they'll slip out the back door and let us to deal with the aftermath. We'll see. Like I say, there's a lot of situations geopolitically right now that are not good. And even me doing these daily news reports doesn't really do the justice on that front, because there are so many different nations right now that there are so many things going on with. Iran is enriching uranium like mad. I mean, like crazy. And I think that there's a pretty high expectation that they're enriching it a lot more than what they're claiming. And I think they are. I think they truly are. I think Iran has weapons. I think they absolutely have nuclear weapons. I think they've had them for some time. I said the same thing about North Korea, and everybody told me I was nuts. Everybody told me I was nuts. And the next thing you know, boom, 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 they started testing them. I'm telling you, it's the same thing. Iran's had them for a long time. North Korea had them for a hell of a long time before they ever started openly testing them. I mean, come on. Now, I think they're at a point to where they're not that they could reasonably compete in the arms race, because, I mean, come on, they're a little behind. But I think they're damn well trying. And I think that's the reality of that situation that's going on. And then you do have North Korea. And we clearly see what they are up to. They're not doing much to hide it. And I think they have a hell of a lot more tricks up their sleeve than what they've shown us. You know? We have to understand that the biggest mistake that we can make is to underestimate our enemy. We cannot forget that. It sure feels good to be able to laugh off another nation and say, oh, we're going to do. Well, you know what? One EMP over this country could do a hell of a lot. And to be real damned honest, it ain't that hard to make it happen. Not for a nation. I mean, come on. I realize you and I don't have what it takes in our garage. I don't even got a garage. But, you know, another nation that already has that technology, that capability. Again, and I reiterate, get ready. I don't know what it is we've got around the corner, but it's huge. It's huge. And I think there are well enough people out there saying the same thing, and many of us are the exact same idea. We feel it with everything we got. We know it's there, but we just can't put our finger on it. Be ready. Ruble strengthens to 14-month high against euro while Russian stocks hit record levels. Iran has concerns about terrorists and Zionists on its northern border, says the foreign minister. Guess it never came back up on your... French fishermen threatened to block port of Calais to stop exports into UK ahead of Christmas period over fishing license roll. So here we go. More issues with others, and man, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Seems like all the people are fighting each other, and government's just getting away with whatever they want, and it's happening everywhere. Verdict against lawyer who fought Chevron cast doubt on whether same law is available to all of us, Roger Waters says to RT. Well, yeah, I've got to ask the same questions. We already know it's not. A Russian prosecutor demands that LGBT-hating far-right group Male State be labeled by court as banned extremist organization. Sweden halts use of Moderna's COVID vaccine for younger adults amid concerns over rare heart inflammation side effect. Yeah, gotta have a sip of coffee. And of course it went down the wrong tube. Let's see. Kremlin voices support. Hang on. Okay, maybe that's better. Kremlin voices support for Russian newspaper KP after it feels forced to shut Belarus branch following arrest of journalists. Conservative peer leads businesses in blasting UK government over failure to plug labor shortages via overseas workers. Woke government-funded London tour guide targets racist plants. Yep, racist plants. You heard that right. Says botanical terms like native and invasive are offensive. So, you remember that as you're planting and as you're foraging and all that. And especially if you're in a survival situation. Now listen. Be very, very nice to the native plants. And even though the invasive plants are bad, you still have to let them into your camp. Because I don't know. You'll have to ask Biden why. I don't understand it. But yeah. Where does it stop? I know I've asked that a million times before. Where does it stop? It stops when we say no more. Period. No more. The way it used to be when I was growing up as a child, right? When I didn't listen and when, it wasn't about what I wanted to do, right? It was what my parents knew was either right or wrong for me. And if I continued to do what was wrong and continued to do what was wrong, my dad would pick me up and whack me on my ass, right? And I didn't like it. I was certainly offended by it. But you know what? It taught me a thing or two that later on in life became positive. Like things like self-discipline, right? Self-motivation. We have a country of people now that got participation trophies. That's what we were all screaming about back when that started. Crazy. Crazy. Republican senator booed by own crowd after suggesting they ought to think about getting COVID-19 vaccine. Police staff issued misconduct notices over return of weapons to Plymouth gunmen weeks before the shooting spree. Oh, yeah. And speaking of that, and I didn't even mention any of that, that was because it's, well, anytime people are shot, it's a big deal, but it wasn't as, it wasn't nothing massive. That shooting that I had reported on this morning apparently was a fight between students to where one pulled a gun out and shot multiple people. I don't know if there's 2 or 3 people shot, 4 people injured, and I'm not quite sure if there was 2 or 3 people shot. But apparently there was one older person, possibly a teacher involved, and I'm sure all the accurate information has been out. I haven't rechecked the story, but it wasn't, a mass shooter type of situation or anything like that. It wasn't random, it was an isolated thing. I don't know what the beef was about, why it led to, that level, but yeah. So I'm sure more details are out about it. I just haven't kept up on it. There are a wide range of factors causing massively increased gas prices in Europe, but Russia's not one of them, the Kremlin insists. I'm kind of curious if they caught the guy. We'll add that, though, because he was at large the last I knew. They were still looking for the kid, 18-year-old kid. I don't know if they ever caught him or not. NATO to expel 8 Russian diplomats allegedly over claims of undisclosed espionage at military bloc's Brussels headquarters. Police responding to reports of active shooter situation at North Texas High School. That's what I'm referring to. Outcry as Ukrainian bankers assault American state-run media reporters, allegedly seizing cameras and deleting interview footage. Austria's Chancellor Kurz and 9 others under investigation for breach of trust, corruption, and bribery after police raids. Ruh-roh. EU Commission should buy gas on behalf of member states, Spanish PM suggests a solution to spiraling energy prices. The CIA airlifted thousands of Afghan commandos accused of war crimes and serious abuses out of the country during withdrawal, says reports. What? Lithuanian government proposes paying pensioners to get COVID jabs and push to tackle vaccine hesitancy. And you're going to see the same thing happen here. Guaranteed. Just a matter of time. Dubai's Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum, I'm sure I got that wrong, hacked ex-wife's phone, the UK High Court says, in latest Pegasus software bombshell. Arlington, Texas school shooting suspect identified as 18-year-old. Police say he's on the run. Like I said, I don't know if he's ever been caught. I don't know if this story would update it or not. Let's see. It says that they have arrested the suspect. So, about 2 hours later, Arlington PD tweeted that Simpkins has been taken into custody without incident. The teen was charged with multiple counts of aggravated assault with a gun. Okay, so yeah, I didn't keep following it because once I realized this was just between a couple of students. and everything involved, I didn't think it was going to be able to get spun off too much, you know? I mean, they're going to try, but... EU chief tells Balkans they are one family despite Germany refusing to set date to grant those countries membership of the bloc. Putin instructs Russian energy minister to ensure gas transit through Ukraine is maintained, and Gazprom honors existing contracts. Fact checkers rush to defend Bill Gates as video of him praising vaccines' abilities to reduce population growth goes viral. I know, it's mind-blowing. It really, truly is mind-blowing. Russian prison officers fired amid probe into shocking videos purporting to show rape and torture of detainees in secure hospital. Critics call for AT&T boycott over report telecoms giant helped build pro-Donald Trump OAN network. Space tourists need better training. Veteran Russian cosmonaut speaks of many challenges linked to the first feature film in orbit. This is crazy. Biden's State Department reveals how many nukes the U.S. has, reversing Trump policy. Is that not insane? I mean... I don't get what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, I guess I do. Speculative frenzy is of no use to us, Putin says, as Moscow moles selling additional gas to combat soaring prices in Europe. As COVID-19 deaths of 2021 surpass those of 2020, media that once blamed Trump for every single one, is now strangely silent. Let's see. Such a creepy administration, Biden's illusionary White House set leaves viewers shocked and confused, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. It's just none of it's adding up. A massive oil spill at Texas refinery causes road closure, but authorities say no danger to the public. WHO approves first ever malaria vaccine, including for children. Accidentally unsealed warrant reveals Google served up data on anyone who searched sexual abuse victims' names, says the media. Trump calls 2020 presidential election the real insurrection as Democrats subpoena allies over January 6th. Biden vowed to follow the science, but COVID-19 boosters seem to be driven by politics, says reports. And let's see, number one up there. Unvaccinated Colorado woman pulled from kidney transplant waiting list as hospital says COVID-19 jab is required. I mean, when can the trial start? That's the only thing, in my opinion, that's important at this point. When do the trials start? Because this is out of hand. This is completely out of hand. Like I say, I keep saying it, the answer for us as individuals is still the same. Still the same. Because we can't do enough at any high enough level to stop this house from crashing down on top of us. So all we can do is do our best to survive it when it does. And hopefully, try to build it back in the Founding Fathers' ideals and with the Father's blessings. That's all we can do. That's the reality of the situation, and that's why when I speak about it, I'm sober about it. That's why I don't play nice when it comes to misinformation and when it comes to, people that just want to profit off of all this stuff that's going on and don't really understand the weight that it holds. I get it. The word loss is going to probably be the most traumatic word in most all of our lives. And I get it. I get it. We have never in this country, I don't think, experienced the loss that's going to happen this time around. Not even like during the Depression or anything like that. I don't think even remotely. And I am taking in consideration there's much different populations too. I am taking that in consideration. And actually that's going to make it even worse. Is the larger population now is actually going to add to the woes. So, much less resources. And I hate to say it, but, bad things happen when a bunch of people expire. And, there can't be proper things done with all of them. There are a lot of nasty side effects, after effects of that. Causes a lot of disease. And even more death, and you even get waves of it. I mean, if you research this stuff, it's pretty crazy, how it plays out, and that's why I look at it in a very sober manner. That's why I'm very hard on these channels out there that are playing. They're playing, and it's scary. You need to understand the reality of it. You need to know the reality of it, not the glamour shots version of the apocalypse, which is what a lot of these individuals are trying to sell you. Ain't gonna be no glamour. But there's gonna be a lot of loss for everybody. For everybody. No, it's not a happy note, but the reality of it. And I guarantee that it's the correct reality, because not only does every single indicator that I've ever paid attention to say the same very thing, but I've got several copies of a book right behind me that says it too. And that book's been eerily accurate to this point. And when I say the word eerie, I don't mean it in a negative manner, but I mean it's just awe-inspiring would be a better word. Accurate. So I put my trust in that, saying that it's not going to get any better. I think I'm going to listen to it. It's not going to get any better. So, not now. Not now. We got a long way to go. Anyway, what I got for you, I'm going to sneak out the back door here myself. Not really, but I'm going to get out of here. Chillax for the rest of the evening. And then we'll see you again tomorrow night to wrap up the week. So, my goodness. Anyway, I hope y'all have a good evening. Hope we do see you tomorrow. God willing, we'll be back. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.